Hello. I want to present a book. This is a book I bought just recently. I actually was on my way to the bookstore to get another book, but it wasn't there when I was looking for it, so I had to order it. But instead I found this book, and it's by Donald Hoffman. And Hoffman I know since before. There are some channels I follow here on YouTube, and the book I wanted to receive was from a channel from a theoretical physicist called Sean Carroll. He's a very good physicist, and he said that he just had published a new book which is called The Biggest Ideas in the Universe, and that was a book I wanted to get when I went to the bookstore, but it had been released. I think it was a week before that, so they didn't have it, so I had to put an order on it, and I still haven't got it, but I probably will get that book next week. But instead I was checking out the books in the popular science section, and I found this one by Donald Hoffman. And I know about this guy because there is another channel I follow by Lex Fridman where he's been speaking with Hoffman. Hoffman is a cognitive scientist. Cognitive scientists, they are trying to model the human minds in computers and trying to understand the body-mind problem, basically. That's the all-over subject in cognitive science. But and cognitive science draws from psychology and computer science. So it's kind of like a field that's come together from two fields, as to say. Anyway, Donald Hoffman has a view on consciousness that is let's say not mainstream in science, maybe a little bit forbidden as well. He thinks that consciousness is primary. So normally the way scientists work with it is like they're trying to understand the real world, and from the real world they're trying to derive how does consciousness arise. Hoffman turns this around and says that no, it's not that you have the material world first and then consciousness arrives from it. It's like consciousness is basics and then the material world arrives from that. And an interesting consequence of this is that Hoffman believes that he do not believe that when we perceive and see objects around the world, what he does not believe is that we infer meaning from that. But what I mean is that like if you see a door handle, it's an object, right? And what do you do with a door handle? Well, you open a door with a door handle. That's inferring the meaning from the object. What Hoffman says, when he says that consciousness is fundamental, when he turns and says that the reality is derived from that consciousness experience, what he means with that is that he says that meaning is the fundamental thing. And then we, from the meaning of a door handle, infers the object door handle. So that's a very interesting way to look at things. Now, I'm not sure I fully agree with Hoffman on everything, but I've been listening to a podcast. I'm going to make a link in the description to it with Hoffman, hosted by Lex Fridman. And it's interesting what he says, and I'm open to listen to what people think about consciousness, because if you approach it from a scientific point of view, that is, I'm not interested in new age things about consciousness. While it might have something there. It's a lot of yada yada, in my opinion. And I find scientific research is a little bit more, how should I say, to the point of the subject. It doesn't try to pull in too much into the subject that may overextend the subject, as I say. This is why I find Hoffman interesting. And also why it's interesting is because consciousness is an unsolved problem. Nobody knows how it arrives. So whether you say it's consciousness arises from matter and then we infer meaning, or if you say consciousness is primary and then we infer matters, we don't know. It's a possibility for two. But what I want to say is that we should not throw out any of these hypotheses. We should work with all of them to see how far we could get with them, since we don't know. And that also means that we have to, if you are interested in the subject, that we have to inform ourselves about it. And I think this is an interesting book to read, because Hoffman, he's trying to make his argument by pointing out how what we experience is not really the real world, and well, he then concludes that the real world is not so real as we might think it is. What he basically says in the preface is like senses is not developed to tell us the truth about reality. Senses is developed to help us survive in reality. And a little bit what I read in the preface is that he then goes over to physics and try to justify his argument. I haven't read exactly. I think I know what it is he's getting to, because I'm familiar with the things these physicists is saying. But I should not, of course, go in advance and speculate in what he says exactly about it. But I have the suspicion that he may not stand on entirely solid ground. And the reason for that is because the physicist and the ideas he referred to in the preface is not based on observation. And that's very important to understand, that point is, physics is divided in two areas: experimental physics and theoretical physics. And in a sense, you could say that theoretical physics is a little bit the philosopher of physics, where they are dealing with that which we don't really understand yet, and trying to understand, and due to the nature of reality, they try to explain that part of the reality which we haven't observed. And since science is about observation, you can have some criticism against parts of theoretical physics and the claims they make. But anyway, the point is that when he referred to what physicists says about reality, we have to take that with a grain of salt, because it's not written in stone what physics says about reality. There is lots of speculation in physics about how reality, what reality is, but it's not definitely decided yet. So that's the weak part of that argument, to try to justify something from theoretical physics and ideas from there. Anyway, this is a book I'm going to read until I get my hands on the next book, which I'm looking forward really for. The Biggest Ideas in the Universe by Sean Carroll. And when I get that book, maybe I make a little video about that too as well. Anyway, if you don't read this book, I recommend to read it. If you don't, I still recommend you to go out and check out Lex Fridman's podcast with Donald Hoffman if you're interested in the subject of consciousness. Anyway, thanks for listening and have a good day.